introduction. In the next 30 minutes or so, we'll be exploring this topic around tactics for scaling marketing teams to drive growth. Like Christina said, we'll save some time for Q&A at the end. Both Tracy Foster and myself are going to be presenting today. We both run a small marketing team, and each of us have vast experiences in managing marketing for both small businesses as well as large and even mid-sized businesses. And later we'll do a quick introduction of our career. But before I begin, what I really want to do is to say thank you to everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to attend this webinar. We know there are a lot of places you could be right now, but you choose to be here. So again, thank you so much. And like I said, my name is Kira Cho, and I am the Director of Marketing here at Salesforce. Now, in addition to being at Salesforce for about 6.5 years, I've seen Salesforce grow tremendously in the past 6.5 years. I have mostly, before that, been in startup spaces. I've ran demand gen for a Series A company, and I've also worked at really high growth companies that have been acquired by others like LinkedIn. And currently, I run demand gen for Salesforce Online Small Business Unit. And what that means is we encourage our prospects and customers to try and buy our product without ever having talked to a salesperson. And my main goal is to drive growth and customer acquisition.
Hi, my name is Tracy Foster, and I'm a Senior Director here at Salesforce. I've been at Salesforce about 8 years and came in through a company that was acquired by Salesforce. And I've always been running marketing in the small, medium business space. One of the differences between Kira and I when we go to market is I'm directly aligned to our sales leader for small business. And all my goals are his ACV and pipe targets. And so that is what I strive to help hit with him with my marketing. So with that, let's begin with talking about what we're going to be covering today. And one of the kind of ways we came up with these topics is, we do webinars like this all the time. And we also are in a lot of customer meetings with our sales teams. And so we get a lot of the same questions. And so what we wanted to do is kind of talk to each of the hot topics that we're constantly getting questions about within this webinar. So the first one we're going to cover is creating an ideal customer profile and engagement strategies for that. So for example, driving new business or driving cross-sell. We're going to be talking about building a robust testing framework to run marketing experiments. We're going to be talking about connecting and optimizing your CRM and marketing stack. And then finally, we're going to be covering reporting on wins that align with your KPIs and your organization's financial targets. So with that, I'll let Kira take it away.
Great. And just to level set a little bit, marketers today face a multitude of different challenges. I know Tracy and I are constantly struggling with the things that are on the screen right now. So for example, being able to find and engage the right leads at the right time, creating this alignment between our sales leaders, which Tracy talked a lot about just now, and also the rest of the marketing teams. We just do demand gen here. There's also PR, branding, product marketing, so many other teams here. How do we get everyone to be communicating and collaborating more? Then there's sort of this idea around the lack of engagement on email campaigns. So how can we get more folks to click through and engage with our product and really use email as a way not to just nurture pre-trial prospects, but also continue nurturing our customers so that they continue to upsell and cross-sell and continue to buy more from our company. And then lastly, this is sort of that hot topic around measuring marketing ROI, the return on investment. So how can we efficiently measure the success of all of our marketing efforts? And on top of that, actually 54% of customers say that companies need to transform how they engage with them. So let's think about that a little bit. You think about your Uber app, your Airbnb app, those apps can predict what you want before you even sort of tell them what you want, and sort of with all of these high B2C expectations that these great companies are building in this B2B world, our customers are also expecting that level of customer service. And this adds an even greater challenge to marketers to come up with more creative ways to engage with all of our prospects and customers. And I'm sure a lot of you know what marketing automation is. Tracy will be talking a little bit more about this later on in the webinar. And maybe you're using it, maybe you're not, but 44% of your peers say that they're currently using marketing automation. So let's kick this discussion off and start talking about what steps we need to take as marketers to deliver the right message to our audience at the right time.
So let's start with talking about creating an ideal customer profile and engagement strategies. So when I started at the company that was acquired by Salesforce, it was a very small startup, and we were trying to understand, what is our audience, who's our target audience? We obviously had an idea, but we really wanted to learn more. So understanding your target audience has a couple of key things that you need to make sure you know. What are their pain points? I'm going to give an example at Salesforce. Someone's using spreadsheets to keep track of their customer information, or like just kind of using a shared inbox. And at some point in time, they're going to hit a place where they're like, we can't keep track of these anymore, like right away. And so that's kind of a pain point that we know that small businesses have before they use a CRM. And then what are the values? What are their needs? Understanding what they care about. Is it revenue? Is it productivity? Is it both? And understanding like kind of what they need from a solution to enable them to hit the goals that they're trying to meet. And also what messaging resonates. We do a lot of tests here at Salesforce, A/B tests on the homepage. We do a ton of paid search tests with key terms. And we want to understand what is it that what's the message that resonates? What is it that they make them feel that this is solutions for me, this will solve my problem? And one of the things that we've done here at Salesforce is we do focus groups a couple times a year. And we pull in customers, we pull in prospects who don't know Salesforce, who know Salesforce, just to understand, what is it that kind of what their pain points are, so we can have a better understanding of just them, this size audience, and also like what messaging resonates, because we also kind of test our messaging within the focus group. The next thing that you need to know about your target audience is who your competitors are, because these are the people that are also, reaching out to them, that they're also finding on their web searches. And so you really want to know who your competitors are. And sometimes if you don't know where to start, even with your marketing, look at one of your competitors' websites, look at their emails, look at the things that they're doing, and then do it better. You can also understand find out what key words they're bidding on in paid search. That's also key, because then you can also do the same because they're a direct competitor. What is their messaging? What does their homepage say? What does their email say? Again, see what they say, make sure it resonates with your business, and then make it better. And also, how do they rank in SEO? Obviously, that's one of the biggest things. Driving to your website, having a very SEO-rich website is key. And you want to make sure you're continuously building and optimizing your web pages so that you're ranking #1 above your competitors. And lastly, if you do use Salesforce or a CRM solution, the best place to go is understanding where you're winning and where you're losing in your opportunities. And so what I often do is, I look back at the last quarter, the last year, at our won and lost deals, and try to understand, learn from them. I want to know why we've lost the deals. Who are we losing to? And then what's the lost reason? You can customize your CRM and have a drop down or a free text box for your salespeople to fill in, if they do lose a deal, why is that? And you can compile that and have drop downs based on all the answers that your sales teams give you. The next thing is driving new business. This is one of the biggest questions I get from customers is how do you get net new customers in the door? And so that's kind of obviously a big thing for every company. You want to make the customers happy you have, but then continuously gain more. And I think these are pretty obvious, but I really wanted to show, some of the top tactics that happen at Salesforce to understand what drives new business. Obviously, website is key, especially SEO and having a SEO-rich website. We actually have 2 different websites experiences here at Salesforce, one for our prospects and one for our customers. And so on the prospect side, that's where we're constantly testing and understanding what works and what doesn't. Obviously, paid digital tactics is key, and optimizing those not only to driving pipeline, but even seeing what actually closes down the funnel from the tactics you're putting, and even breaking those out by each tactic, and then even key terms like for SEM. Driving paid search is very expensive, we understand. And so I think it's just the most important to understand what are the key words that all your customers are bidding on and your prospects, but also your competitors, so you can bid on the same.
Yeah, and Tracy, I would say we do a lot of landing page optimization too. We know SEM is really expensive, but you're probably bidding on tens, if not hundreds of different words. We try to create different landing pages experience, like for different industries, even like switching out the keyword just in the title to make the landing page a lot more relevant. So that being said, there are a lot of things you can do to optimize without spending any more money.
And so, review sites are key. Businesses want to know what your other businesses think of your solution. So G2 is one that we've used along with Capterra. Those are two review sites that we definitely find useful and look at the reviews, and that other people do as well. Obviously, content's key, and then partnerships, expanding your reach. We do a lot of partnerships here at Salesforce, obviously, and that's really just to gain more eyes on Salesforce and to build a better product for our customers and prospects. The next is outbound campaigns. We call these our BDRs, our business development reps, and their goal is just to go out, prospect, and get new business for Salesforce. And so some of the things they do is they figure out their top prospect accounts, and then what we'll do as marketers is enrich those accounts and add contacts and update the contact information so that they have the best accounts to go after. We also use data science to kind of understand like high propensity to buy prospects, right? And this is all based on data from our current customers and then algorithms that are built. Another way to do that is, let's say you might not have a data science team, which we understand a lot of people don't. You can also use lead scoring. So you can, using a marketing automation solution, you can score your leads and then look at the prospects with the highest leads and then have your team go after those. The next thing that we also do in driving net new business is direct mailers. I know some people might think direct mailers is dead, but we've kind of built out a new direct mailer strategy where they're not just a letter or just like a stamped card. It's actually like a box, and it's very nice, and it kind of ties to the solution that we're trying to solve. And it also highlights a customer of ours that is using Salesforce to help to show that they're successful.
Yeah, and you can get really creative. We actually did a mailer with a popcorn to send to our prospects and encourage them to watch a webinar. And what was it? That was maybe like $2 or $3 per mailer. So when you think about mailers, it doesn't have to be extremely expensive. They can also be super cost efficient as well.
Yep, and they work really well with our outsourcing, especially our one-to-one. We use a company called Swag IQ that helps our BDRs just send one-to-one direct mailers with a personalized note. And that is one of the best performing tactics to drive new business through our outbound sales team. And lastly, you want to make sure you have the most personalized experience that you can. Like I said, we have different homepages here at Salesforce for customers and prospects, and we really want that homepage to really tie in with the customer's needs, along with every other digital piece that they see on and offline. And so, connecting your digital interactions, making sure they're saying the same message over and over again, and then letting them be on a personalized journey where they are. And this can all be done with solutions that you can also acquire and purchase, so that like everything that you have showing with your customers and prospects connected, and so that they see a very connected experience and the same message that resonates. And this also helps sales by giving them the next best action, because they will also see all the things that your prospect has done and then be able to have a more relevant conversation based on all the things that they've done online that's getting pushed into CRM. So I kind of talked about new business, and I wanted to give you a different view of, let's say, a customer journey for our cross-sell. So obviously here at Salesforce, we have a lot of different products, and a lot of companies sell more than one thing. And so we also need to drive awareness and pipeline and revenue for these other products that we offer. So this is kind of an example of a customer journey for an add-on product, specifically our marketing automation solution. So things that we've done is, have print ads in the American Marketing Association. We have email nurture programs based on our personas that are for marketers. We do webinars, and we obviously do digital ads. And for the webinars, we really are highly targeted on the people that we think are more likely to purchase, the marketing automation solution based on data science, high PTV, high propensity to buy.
And we've learned that from, in terms of webinar content, while top of the funnel content is really great, as you can imagine, these prospects might not have as high of a conversion rate. And so we invite people that are highly technical to do some of these. For example, our sales engineers who really talk about the product value and go deep into the product and show what the product does. Those actually, Tracy, right, they've been performing well above kind of the top of the funnel stuff.
Yeah, very, very much So, and then lastly, obviously on the website, we try our best to, where we can, place ads for the next best solution that that we think that they would want to buy. And so we do it on the website. We also do mailers to these, to kind of show the benefit of the next best solution. And then lastly, we do a lot of events, a lot of closing events. You obviously know, I'm sure, about Dreamforce. That's a big a closing event where, we just invite people to learn more about the prospect, talk to sales, and hopefully buy the product. So next we'll talk about building a robust testing framework to run marketing experiences. So I'll let Kira take that from here.
Yeah, so experimentation is really important. We talked a little bit about how consumers nowadays have high expectations in terms of how they try and buy products and connect with brands. And as marketers, we just have to continue to innovate and do new stuff. I don't know about your organization, but in every role that Tracy and I have taken, our job is to grow. The number you're being given this year is going to be more than last year. It's just going to continue to grow. And this is why we need to experiment to figure out what new tactics are out there that other people are using that we're not using, but more importantly, what doesn't work. And we need to start reimagining everything that we do, and we need to start questioning all of the evergreen tactics that just kind of run in the background and try and do it differently so that we continue to drive the growth that I was talking about. So here's a testing framework we use. We decided for this presentation to not go through the different tests we've ran because we've heard from other presentations that, people have different business models and the way they go to market. And what we heard is that it is much better to kind of talk about what kind of framework we use to keep track of all these experiments we run. So very oftentimes we try to enforce this experimentation culture, and what you'll find out is that you'll see a lot of your teammates start running their own experiments and nothing really connects. Or you have a team running experiments, but they really don't have a framework, and so you can't really determine who the winner is. We've tested things like a sticky nav versus a sidebar within our website, and a lot of times, a couple weeks later, we'll realize that actually this test would never hit significance because there's not enough volume and not enough traffic. So having this testing framework can help you mitigate some of those instances. And this is a worksheet we developed that will prevent scenarios like that, the test that is inconclusive because we ran a multivariate test, right? And everyone in your org needs to fill this out. And this is what we do here within our business unit. So the first thing you need to really ask yourself and whoever's running the test is identify the following test details. The first is, what team is running this? Is this the marketing team, the customer service team that is really in charge of the in-trial experience, or the product team? Identify what team is running this. Challenge all of your teammates and your employees to identify what their hypothesis is and what are they trying to test, and how are they going to execute on this test. Is this a thing where it will never hit significance because the website doesn't get enough traffic, so it becomes sort of a launch and monitor? Or is this an A/B test? Or it could be a multivariant test. And lastly, list out what the launch dates are and who will be impacted. Then you kind of make your team pre-identify the outcomes so that you know exactly what success looks like. You can then make it into this one chart with timeline to get a sense of how each test relates to one another. This is sort of a condensed version of how experimentation should be run, and at least that's how we do it internally to keep track. And again, we can spend hours talking about the different tests we've run in the past, but we just feel like this portion could be a lot more useful just given this framework. You can hopefully apply it to your organization starting tomorrow.
So the next topic we're going to cover is connecting and optimizing your CRM and marketing tech stack. So many people starting out, startups, small businesses, they might not have a CRM, or they may have a CRM, and they may also have a bunch of different other applications that they're using, marketing automation, Google Analytics. But a lot of times they start with separate systems. They're not integrated yet. Whether you're using a CRM or an Excel spreadsheet, you still need to connect with your customers and email them. And so, having not connected systems causes a lot of problems. I remember, when I first started at the company that was acquired, we actually didn't have integrated CRM with our marketing automation. And I was the email marketing manager at the time. And so what I had to do constantly was export out of the CRM, import into a marketing automation solution to send emails to our customers. And honestly, VLOOKUP was one of the best things I ever knew how to do because I could match on email. So I would be able to take out customers and so I could only email prospects. But all that led for me is much time of manual work, a lot of importing, exporting, and filters, which is not fun. And so just that slows you down as a marketer.
Yeah, and also just the customer experience, you can really miss the mark there. I remember when I was doing email too at a startup, because the systems were not synced, I sent one of our customers, one of our in-trial nurture that was designed for prospects pre-purchase, and the customer is like, what are you doing? So
yeah, it's just a bad experience overall. So, one of the best things that you can do is, once you do get a CRM and a marketing automation system, you sync the two so that your sales data from your CRM goes into your marketing automation solution, and then all the marketing information goes back into your CRM. And we've seen that 89% of companies that align sales and marketing do see an increase in leads that convert to opportunities. And what the whole point is here is, having your system synced is smart because A, it helps the marketer understand what's happening with the customer or prospect. It helps sales understand what's happening on the marketing side. But the biggest thing it does is help sales and marketing have a relevant conversation. Because that data is getting pushed back into each of the systems, the sales team can see, what marketing campaigns, what emails have been opened, what pages even they've been on the website. And so that will give them, understand what the next best thing to do based on those actions that the prospect or customer has taken. And then it helps the marketer have relevant marketing because they know the customer based on the data from the CRM. All that information is pushed in the marketing automation system, and so you can serve up relevant messaging and content because of that.
Yeah, and if you recall, in the beginning of the presentation, we talked about the biggest challenges that marketers are facing, and one of them is not having enough sales and marketing alignment. So this is a perfect example of aligning with your sales team, but also showing your sales leader that there is a direct link to everything that marketing is doing with all of the sales activities.
Yeah, also reporting gets pushed into the CRM that's where sales looks. And so that helps marketers understand and show the return on investment on their marketing campaigns. So I kind of wanted to take a deep dive into the CRM to show how a marketing automation solution and your CRM can work together to better help sales. So here's kind of an example. If you see on the left, you'll see this is our homepage at Salesforce. Would be our prospect homepage. So you have a CTA on your homepage, you click it, and it goes to a landing page. This can be an ebook, free trial, demo. It's kind of whatever you think is best for an offer on your website to your prospects. They fill it out, and because your marketing automation and your CRM are connected, all the data from the form that it's hosted on your marketing automation solution, it goes and gets pushed into Salesforce. And so you can customize the way that your sales team can see all this information on the lead layout. And so here's an example of a lead layout that we have. It has the lead owner, which is the person that's going to be working the lead, the name of the contact, what company they came from, all the kind of the title information. It also shows what the interest is that they filled out. Because we have so many products here at Salesforce, we align forms based on products. So, they filled out a demo for Sales Cloud, they're going to be interested in sales versus a Service Cloud demo. And then it tells you the offer type. Again, this is all can be customized. So if I'm a salesperson looking at my lead, I know that they're interested in sales. They downloaded an ebook. They went to the website, and they have a score based on the activity on their site and a ranking because marketing automation can also not only score your leads, it can rank and grade your leads based on what your company thinks is important.
And if you have this set up right, just think about all the types of reporting you can do. To Tracy's point, if everything is connected to your sales funnel, you can start to pull reports and answer questions like, what is the best converting content? What is the best converting offer type? Does a trial bring in more revenue compared to an ebook? You can also start to see who are the types of personas that are downloading different topics. So you can start to answer questions like, who are the top personas that actually download our ebook offer or a trial or a demo? So there's just so much you can do when you set this thing up right.
So not only that, because you have centralized systems, you can help free up, 15 to 30% of your marketing budget. So here's kind of what a salesperson would see when they see the systems integrated. But here's another way that they can have a relevant information. Because they have all this information, not only they can see, what they downloaded, but with the marketing automation integrated with your CRM, they can see even what they've done on the website. They've visited the website, what page they're on, they filled out a form, they opened an email. So you they give sales even more information to help save them time from doing a lot of searching of like, what did they do, even asking qualifying questions because they already know it. And not only that, they can rank their leads by lead score. So this helps overall when you do connect the systems. Not only that, as a marketer, you can use the data from your CRM and push in your marketing automation solution and use them to create personas. So here at Salesforce, we build personas for our customers and prospects. So for example, if you're a VP of marketing and you download an ebook that is talking about marketing automation, you're going to be a marketing persona. And then we build our emails and content all around those personas. And so, we have kind of a nurture program, and it's all based on persona and based on the offers we think that persona would be interested in. And when we've done that, we've seen an increase in open rates and conversion rates once we kind of built out personas that are higher than industry standards. And so, this is just something when you do have all your information in your system synced, you can then kind of be very customized in the content that you give your prospects and customers. And not only that, because your systems are connected, you can build smart email nurture campaigns that can be triggered off fields from your CRM or behaviors that your prospects or customers have done on your website. So you can have an even more personalized experience because let's say, someone starts a trial and they're not opening your emails. You can even say, if they don't open this first email, send them this exact same email again 3 days later, but with a different subject line, because then you can find out better ways to get people to open your emails. And then, based it off triggers, let's say someone goes from a prospect to a customer, that data then gets pushed into your CRM and in your marketing automation solution so that you can pull them out of a campaign that might be just for prospects. And so last, let's talk about aligning your KPIs with your organization's financial targets. Both Kira and I obviously have high targets to hit and high goals that we work with our sales teams. And so, but they're pretty different actually. So we'll kind of talk about what I do working with our direct sales teams and what I look at daily to make sure we're going to hit our targets. So one of the first things we look at to see how we're performing, just like at awareness level, is look at website traffic. And the biggest thing that I look at is prospect website traffic to that prospect homepage, because we want to understand, are we getting net new people to the website? Do we need to drive more awareness? How is it performing? And also organic website traffic is the most qualified and the best performing leads. So from there, we then look at our form views, and then we look at form complete, because, not only do we want people to fill out forms and not just get to a form, we want them to actually fill it out. And then we constantly look at the conversion rate and engagement on those forms. And then obviously bounce rate, because we don't want people to just get to a form and leave. And the next thing we look at that's very important is not only marketing qualified leads. So these are leads that just get to sales because their email's correct, does not fake data, it doesn't say test, it just gets to a salesperson. We look at the conversion rate from MQL to SQL, which is a salesperson gets the lead and they say, yes, this is good enough for me to work it. And so then we look at the conversion rate of those. And the next obviously is stage by pipeline. And so every company can customize their opportunities and the stages of their opportunities to best fit their company. So for example, ours, we look at how many flips we get to our AEs and then how many sales accepted flips to opportunities, so we can understand, of the opportunities we're sending to sales, do they actually accept them? And then we understand, based on the tactic where that flip came from, what performs the best. We obviously look at average deal size, and that's constant to see kind of where we're at with sales and how we're doing. And then lastly, the conversion rate and the revenue of each of those. And so when I meet with my sales leader every Monday morning at 9 a.m., we're going over where are we at with the pipeline, how we close to our ACV targets. And so we're also kind of tie that back to all the leads we're driving from marketing and how those are performing. And so I'll let Kira talk about self-service metrics.
Yeah, so that was all direct sales. So how do we measure self-service business? Well, the first two inputs you really need are the spend and your conversions. Your conversions could be a form complete, a demo requested, a free trial. Each business has their own conversion points that are very important to them, and you need to measure all of them. So you can start to look at spend by campaign, tactic, or channel. Also, when you factor in the cost into a lot of your equations, you can start to get very scientific, so you can weed out all of the channels and the tactics that are not effective. Then you punch all this into your calculator to figure out what your cost per conversion is. This will tell you your most efficient channels and where your ads and messages are resonating. Then you figure out how much you're spending to acquire a customer. You might need to engage with your finance team, but this is really important because this will help you figure out when you start to hit that diminishing in returns. What is the maximum cost per click or cost per whatever it is that you go to market with you can afford before you are starting to lose money for your organization. And then the last part is figuring out the average lifetime spend for your customers. And if you're too early of a company, let's say you're only a year or two into market, you've got a great product market fit, and you're just starting to advertise and acquire customers, I would just model that out, your LTV, by 2 or 3 years after taking the first year of revenue, kind of assuming that your product and company direction will stay pretty consistent in the next 2 to 3 years. This will at least give you a baseline to work with and figure out what your LTV is. And then the last part is the return on ad spend. So for every dollar you spend on advertising, how much are you making back in revenue for your company? And then if you keep going, the next few slides will actually show you the different samples that we use to make it a little more concrete. So this is a paid digital performance report where you will factor in the spend, you look at the conversions that are important to you, and you segment it out by channel. The next report will show you sort of the ROI by month, and then also factoring in the cost per acquisition for each of the customers so that you can start to see during what month or even what channel is the most efficient in acquiring your customers. The next one is the framework for the return on ad spend. How long is it going to take? How many months is it going to take for you to start making revenue back for every dollar you spend in your advertising endeavors? So this is the report to do that. So with that, I think that's all of the content. We went through a lot. We talked about the identifying different personas. We talked about how you should think about experimentation in your organization. We also talked about sales and marketing alignment and why it's important to have a marketing automation system. And lastly, how we measure our business. So with that, we'd like to open the floor up with some Q&A time, and we'd be more than happy to answer questions you may have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This is really informative. As I mentioned, if anyone has a question, feel free to type it into the control panel now. I already had some questions come in, which is great. So first up, can you comment further about review site complete signals?
Review site complete signal?
Review site
the review. Oh, compete signal, yes. So, okay, so at G2, sorry, G2 Crowd is now G2, but it's named, they just changed names, is a review site. And when you buy a profile, you can set up compete signals. So what that means is, that means your sales team can get notifications when one of their target accounts is searching on a review site, whether it's to you or your competitors. So that would just give them a better idea of, when they're looking to buy, that they're interested in understanding, about your product along with your competitors' products. And that just gives your sales teams a little bit more insight to then even call them to say, hey, are you looking for X, Y, and Z, or do you have questions about our product? And so that's something obviously you do have to pay for, but it's something that G2 offers with one of their profiles for your company.
Yeah, in addition to providing this information to your sales team, you can also use it to target your audiences. So if you have different compete landing pages that you use in SEM, you can start to have some retargeting banners or a targeted email to drive people to that. Or going back to the mailer idea, you can have a compete mailer that talks about why your platform or your product and service is better than your competitor. So there are a lot of ways to utilize the data from this compete signal program.
Wonderful, that's really helpful. Another question, how do you think about allocating budget and resources to what organic and paid channels? Where should we focus our spend?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. We are, constantly struggling to figure out what the mix is. But I think net is, at the end of the day, you have to have a really good website. You have to have really good content. Good content will allow your prospects and customers to learn about your products in a very genuine way, but it also allows Google to pick up all of those signals, kind of all these keywords in the organic search. So I would say before you spend any money, figure out what your website strategy is, because once you start to spend money, you are driving traffic to your website. So you have to ensure that the site is easily navigatable. There's a lot of the right information that you're providing with your prospects and customers. And when you do have the luxury to have some budget given to you, we would recommend spending it obviously in paid search. So start off very tiny, only bid on kind of the branded keywords with your brand within those searches, and then you can start to venture off because you've got all of your ROI reports set up. You can start to look at things like if you were to bid on non-branded keywords versus branded, what is that ROI and the difference? And then kind of the next part is always have remarketing on. We know that with kind of the new laws with CCPA, it kind of limits your ability to retarget, but I think it doesn't impact smaller businesses. It only impacts large organizations that have higher revenue benchmarks. And so you can start to remarket to your users with your remarketing banners. Those are kind of the areas we recommend spending in. We know there's kind of paid social and lead buys and things like that. Until you have a really good organic machine that drives organic traffic, and you're kind of dabbling into SEM and maximizing on remarketing, we actually don't recommend doing a lot of paid search, because what we've seen is that the space is super saturated. It's becoming a lot more expensive, cost per click wise, to get your users to react to your ad. And again, we're just kind of the B2B model. B2C might be a little different, but that would be my recommendation.
Great, really helpful, thank you. Another question. My company relies on trade shows, events for lead gen. Can you elaborate more on how you improve trade show lead gen performance?
Sure. I think the biggest thing for us is, let's say you go to a trade show, they give you obviously a list, and then you upload that, and then you route it to your sales team. A lot of times they don't always look at, where that lead came from, or what they did at the booth or anything. So they're kind of just like calling in and kind of having a generic conversation. One thing I think is the most useful, what we do at Salesforce, is before we upload those leads, we send out a note and we chatter it to our sales team, because our sales teams are in a chatter group within Salesforce. So it's a group that only gets messages that if you're on that team. And we say, hey, look out for leads coming. Here's what they look like. And then I say, like, offer type, event, the campaign name is X, Y, and Z. The lead looks like, so I kind of give the information, like I kind of showed on the lead layout, the parts of where I can show like how they're associated with the event. And then I give them email templates to use as follow-up, and even kind of do a short description of, hey, these leads came from this trade show, and this was it about, here's what it was called, and here's a great email template you can use to follow up. Look out for these leads. So I'm kind of like pre-sending them information to look out for, so they have a more relevant conversation. And then because lead scoring is set up, they can then, based on the information on the spreadsheet of like what you get with title and all that other stuff, they can then rank the leads before they even call into them. So you can call the highest quality, highest scored leads from that trade show based on your lead scoring algorithm. So that would help your salespeople have a better conversation with those event leads, and also even with the email template that you set up for them and the information from the leads, they can easily find out who those leads are, when they are, and then even when they're getting routed to them so they can be prepared.
Yeah, and you can also use it on the marketing automation side. And so if, let's say, you have lead scoring set up, the leads have low scores, maybe you don't want to pass it to your sales team and you just want to continue to nurture them and hit them up with different offers to warm them up before you give it to your sales team. So that's also another option. We think one of the biggest pitfall, and we've actually experienced this too, is to not have an event, pre-event and a post-event follow-up. So that's something that we are very diligent in doing from now on.
And actually, an easy way to get 100% follow-up from your sales team, which we struggle with even here at Salesforce, is you can set up marketing automation. So an email will be sent from the salesperson based on the territory to that person with the email that you set up, and even send a second email if they don't reply, so that no matter what, every single event lead will get a follow-up, a personalized follow-up from a salesperson, and they get 1 or 2 emails based on if they replied or not. And then it's easy for the salesperson, because if they reply, then they're just getting a lead that's hot and ready to go. So just some pro tips.
That's really helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, and
Yeah.
I think that was it for now, and we're right up on time. So good on that. Thank you so much both for a wonderful webinar, and for everyone tuning in to today. We will be sharing the recording and the slides afterwards via email, so keep a lookout for an email from Insight Partners. And everyone have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.